been licensed 10 years. I'm a licensed property and casualty broker, and I specialize in production insurance. And I just opened Pacific United about a year and a half ago. So it's very exciting. That's my baby, and just building up my book of business. So I'm sure everyone has one of these, a handheld little computer. Do you know how many 2-drawer filing cabinets worth of information this baby can hold? Any guesses?
A billion.
Not that much, Michael, but 4,000 2 drawers full of information is how much this thing can handle. Same thing with the flash drive. If that gets into the wrong hands, then you have a serious data breach on your hands. So you're just gonna have to bear with me, folks. I don't have any visuals for you. Okay. So what is cyber liability, and why aren't you working? Okay. Okay. Cyber liability is insurance coverage for liability that arises out of unauthorized use or unauthorized access to electronic data or software within your network or business. And cyber liability policies provide coverage for liability claims for spreading a virus or a malicious code, computer theft, extortion, or an intentional act, mistake, error, or omission made by your employees while performing their job. And it provides coverage to both first and third parties. So an example of a first party coverage, that would be the policy holder. That includes loss of digital assets coverage, coverage for the loss of data and network resources, because you can imagine if you lose your internet, your website, even your phone service, you're just debilitated for hours. And if there's a cyber attack, you could be down for days or weeks. It also includes non-physical business interruption and extra expense. So for example, you have a business and God forbid it burns down. Well, physically you're unable to perform your job. But again, if your computer, if your software, your cloud is attacked, then you won't be able to operate. And it also covers security event costs, which is expenses to cover an IT team to input security measures to your operating system, because that's the whole reason why you got hacked in the first place. It also covers cyber terrorism and cyber extortion. So that's exactly what it means, that a company will put ransomware and say, okay, we will not continue this virus spreading to your system unless you pay us money, and then we'll give you the security code to unlock that. And cyber terrorism is designed to cause physical violence or extreme financial harm. So first party exposures are expenses incurred directly or internally by your firm. This may include loss of hardware, loss of data, damage to your systems. It includes the cost of client notification and or reporting and regulatory defense and penalties. So if the client has their name, social security number stolen, passwords, dates of birth, driver's license numbers, someone could potentially take that information and use it to apply for a loan, use to apply it for pretty much anything that you don't know and you're not aware of, until all of a sudden your credit score drops 200 points. And so it's really important to check your credit, make sure that it's up to par once a month, and that can be very costly to send out client notifications. Examples of third parties, so that would be the unfortunate soul who had their data breached. It provides network security and privacy liability, so protects you from losses associated with unauthorized access to or theft of your data or e-business activities, computer viruses, denial of service attacks, as well as unauthorized e-commerce transactions. And it also provides employee security and privacy liability, which protects you from losses associated with unauthorized use of social security numbers, addresses, dates of birth, etc. And it also encompasses electronic media liability, which protects against defamation and invasion of privacy claims, as well as copyright and/or trademark infringement. So the reason why you would need cyber liability is because anyone now with a website now has the legal liabilities of a publisher. And production companies will be in possession of driver's license numbers, phone numbers, emails, scripts, personal information of key personnel. Vendors such as equipment rental houses, they will also be in possession of credit card numbers, emails, dates of birth, driver's license, because whenever you rent a grip truck or any sort of equipment, then those vendors will absolutely require personal information. And finally, authors and publishers will be in possession of private information, including contents, bios, and intellectual property. So there's a very big difference between cyber liability and general liability. So general liability protects third parties from bodily injury and property damage arising out of your negligence. And with cyber liability, it offers the most favorable venue wording for punitive or exemplary damages. So with general liability, you cannot file for punitive damages. It's simply made to make you whole again. Whatever the claim was, that is the amount that is paid out. With cyber liability, you can certainly ask for punitive damages. And it also includes interruption expenses for additional costs associated with rented or leased equipment, use of third-party services, additional staff expenses, or labor costs. Because if you have a data breach, you're going to have to maybe rent some equipment, hire some additional people to help you with the workload. And again, with cyber liability, it broadly defines PII, which is personally identifiable information, and that is to include the individual's name in combination with a social security number, driver's license, account number, credit or debit card, or any non-personal information as defined by any privacy regulation. So I don't know if you remember that whole Sony breach or the Target breach, but that was very, very costly. And the general liability policies had to pay that out because they didn't have this exclusion. But as of next month, they will, yes.
So that'll be an exclusion from a regular CGL policy,
yep.
Right?
Correct.
So every business pretty much needs this cyber policy.
I would highly recommend it. I mean, you really need to update your firewalls. You need to protect files and locked and safe areas. Otherwise, if a hacker can get in there, absolutely.
Well, I think most businesses know about that, but they may not know that there's a cyber policy available, because when I talk to clients, and usually when I give them, I have like a written like a standard generic trademark estimate that I do for trademarks, and part of that is I advise them to obtain a CGL policy and make sure that that it covers advertising imagery. But I think now I need to add into it that it also needs that they need to have a cyber.
Exactly, cyber liability. Think about it this way. Lloyd's of London was the very first insurance company, right? And policies started out 17, 20 pages long. And then as time went on, and as all of this litigation happened and people are suing everyone, these insurance companies were like, look, we're sick and tired of paying out these claims, so we're gonna put this specific endorsement. So the best way that I can describe this is the CG 2010-1185. And that is an endorsement included in a general liability policy that is the most broad form of wording. And it just basically says, we're gonna additionally insure you for your work. Like, that's it. All of your work, we're gonna cover. And that form, 1185, means that it came out in November of 1985. And since then, other endorsements have been created to say, wait a second, If you hire a third party or a contractor to do the work, we no longer want to cover all of your work, including your subcontractor. So now we're going to change the wording in the endorsement to exclude the contractor and only cover the named insured.
So if there's something relatively new or different,
then they just, you know, like the terrorism exclusion, right? Unfortunately, 9/11, over 3,000 people were killed, and because they were killed at work, all of these insurance companies had to pay out these claims. And the insurance company said, you know what, nope, we're going to have the terrorism exclusion, or if they want the terrorism coverage, they're going to have to pay for it. So these insurance companies are the tallest buildings in the world because they don't like to pay out claims, right? So they just constantly change and evolve their endorsements so they can deny coverage.
They can just do it on their own.
Well,
like tomorrow they can say we won't protect against dog bites anymore.
Yep. Yeah, they can absolutely do that. But some companies, some insurance carriers will cover that. It's just, you're just gonna have to pay a little bit